Okay, let me walk you through these tables. Here's the basic facts, which this is would even precede table 2.1. It tells you what you've got in all four cells, four basic cells of this table. If you add the row totals, you get to table 2.1, and to get the total of promoted people, you add the men who were promoted and the women who were promoted, and the not promoted people, you add the men who were not promoted and the women who are not promoted. And then to get this is the total men. You add the men who were promoted and the men who were not promoted, and so on, and then finally add up the entire table, and you got 1,200 people. So this is what it looks like. This is really getting to table 2.1. Now, to convert to probabilities, the scenario that you're thinking of here is that you're going to pick one person at random from these 1,200 people. And if you divide all of these cell counts by 1,200, you get the probability of being in that particular cell. So do the arithmetic, and now we've got something from which we can compute probabilities. So the probability that the person was a man, and we refer to this as a marginal probability, is 0.8. And the probability that a person was promoted was 0.27. And the probability that a person was a man and promoted was 0.24, and so forth. So now we can compute some probabilities. As I said, the probability of a man is 0.8. That comes right out of here. The probability that the person was a man and promoted is 0.24, and that came right out of here. And now we get to the more difficult things. The probability that a person was a man given that he was promoted. That given the vertical bar means that you're not now looking at selecting a person at random from a population of 1,200. You're looking at this. You have to go really back to this table. You're looking at the fact that you're focusing on the subset of people who were promoted. There were 612 of them. 288 of those are men. So you can't read this thing out of the final probability table. You have to go back to that preceding table. Reverse that, the probability that a person was promoted, given that the person was a man, this means that you are not selecting a person at random from the total of 1,200. You're selecting a person at random from the population of men. There were 960 men, 288 of them are promoted, so this probability is 0.3. It's really important that these three probabilities get distinguished in your mind. It is very easy to twist these things around and confuse one of these things with another. And the problem is that in English, when you hear and, it sort of, in some senses, you think of and as being and then, which leads you to confusing and with given that. And I think a lot of people, typical people on the street, if you try to describe the difference between these three things, all they hear really is man promoted mumble mumble, or man mumble mumble promoted. And these distinctions are extremely important. Okay, I hope that helps clear up some of the difficulties you're having with problem 15 on page 53. If not, let me know. I'll try to explain this in a different way.